Hello and welcome to the E14 Gamecast, Emotionally 14's gaming podcast. I'm your host Rob Wade, and I'm joined, as always, by my gaming rock, my pet rock, Blake Hart.
One up!
Oh, nice. Spike Direction is here.
Player 2 has entered the game.
He is also up, because you're
standing up.
Standing, because my chairs are not the most comfortable in long periods of time.
Yeah.
And Brad Harmer-Barnes is with us as well.
Nice rolling sound.
Nice rolling sound, like people. We were kind of discussing in the pre-show what we were going to talk about, and Brad came up with a good idea. Well aware.
He's beaming with pride.
Up himself much?
That it would be good to approach the following subject. Games from your childhood, or basically just generally older games, doesn't have to be from childhood specifically, but older games you want to see either as remakes or just re-released on some sort of backwards compatibility thing. So, yeah.
Are we talking specifically video games in this? Or
no, we can do tabletop as well.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can start with one and work to walk towards t'other, or we can just intersperse them. I'm pretty easy either way.
Now he's got rails.
Yeah. That's generally how this works. Yeah, we can do video games tabletop and basically just chuck them into the mix when you got them. Just be, maybe for the benefits of the listeners, just kind of go with, just specify whether they're video game or tabletop before you say them.
LA Noire. Oh, no, wait. No.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw a comment loosely based on it, and I was quite upset. Not upset, I suppose that's a bit extreme. But being
got emotional and then tempered it back down.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't.
It's probably not worth mentioning now.
It was one of these Facebook things with like, I'll comment on a thing, and it was a similar thing where it was about games you want to be remade using today's graphics.
Yeah. But
no one was choosing like older games. They were all choosing PS2 era onwards, and I was a bit like, well, no, that's not really the heart of the question, though, really, because I saw someone that I know actually comment on there saying, "Oh yeah, I'd remake the Mass Effect trilogy." And I was like, "Why?"
Yeah. What would you gain from that?
Yeah,
it looks fine.
It's already HD-ish.
Yeah, and you know, there would be nothing brought to the table in today's graphics if you were to bring Mass Effect to current gen.
And also, you know, in terms of Andromeda, the kind of early bugs on glitches on that one prove that
maybe you shouldn't.
Maybe you don't want that.
Yeah.
And we kind of said in the Crazy Chain that the sort of open world long form RPG things aren't necessarily that replayable anyway. So if you're getting a remake of something that you've played, like of that nature,
it has to have been long enough since you played it last time, because I'm playing Skyrim on the Switch at the moment, and it's been just the right amount of time since I last played Skyrim that I'm enjoying myself. And I've forgotten where everything is, and I've forgotten how the quests go and stuff. So I'm still, I'm not experiencing it completely new, but a lot of it is like, I don't remember this.
It's familiar to you, but it's not. You know, like you might go, oh, I don't remember this mission, or I don't remember this bit. So it's still new to you.
It's entirely possible I never did that quest anyway, because even though I played it for 150 hours, I didn't do everything. So, you know, there's a good chance there's stuff I'm doing now that I never actually did the first time anyway, so it'll be completely new.
I want a VR version of Space Harrier. That'll separate the men from the boys.
Ooh.
And
VR Space Hulk.
It would be mostly
and the epileptics from the non-epileptics.
They're easily separated generally.
Would the VR version also have the bit that lifts you up and down from the arcade?
Yeah. That was crystal meth.
Only virtually.
Yeah. In terms of a game, the problem I have is there's a game I used to love from like the Mega Drive era called Gunstar Heroes. And it was 2D scrolling shooter for people who haven't played it, but it was nuts. It was basically explosions filled the entire screen. It was one of those games where there were so many explosions, the Mega Drive couldn't actually hack it and would actually slow down at some point. The frame rate dropped.
But the Mega Drive had blast processing.
I know.
For improved nothing. I read a book about that. If anybody hasn't read it, I definitely recommend it. It's called Console Wars, and it's all about the 90s Sega and Nintendo war, told from the point of view of Sega, because it's actually interviewing people who worked there, and it follows the story of the guy Thomas Kalinske, who was president of Sega from like the early 90s through their peak into the point where it started to tank.
Is it laudable?
Probably. I think it is actually. No.
Then it is dead to us.
Fair enough. But it's in that they talk about how they were sort of looking at the specs and they were going, well, what have we got that the Super Nintendo hasn't? It's like, I mean, really nothing. The spec is almost identical. It's like, well, we must have something. And they said, well, we do this through blast processing. He's like, what does that do differently? He's like, nothing. But put it in the advert anyway. So they just had an advert that was like, using blast processing because it sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Here it is.
It's a very 90s buzzword. I'll grant that.
It is on Audible.
Yeah.
And I'm buying it. I've bought it.
Oh, thanks, fact checker Spike.
Happy to be here, Bob.
What? How long is it running at?
Quite a long
20
book.
hours.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes,
That's my kind of audiobook. I like a long one.
Yeah, that's
All right.
It's definitely worth a read and or listen if you're into video games because it's very interesting.
Yeah. So I like that, but I want something that captures that sort of feel and that sort of chaoticness. Bring it, but yeah, this is where I would struggle because I would like to bring it into sort of modern day gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want it to just be because I mean, I suppose if you were arguing to make a modern day Gunstar Heroes, okay, with up to difficulty, you essentially have Cuphead, but I would like it, but with a bit more modern sensibilities and with something. Okay, not when I say modern sensibilities, I don't mean loot boxes.
Oh, okay.
Do you mean like the jump from like 2D to 3D?
Well, yeah,
there are some games
or
that made it.
Or jump to, I don't know if it would jump
like GTA
jump to 3D
3.
or if it would jump. I don't know the sort of game because it's so chaotic. If it jumped to open world, it would just be Crackdown, I guess.
Yeah.
Fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Would it be fine?
Yeah.
But,
they do 2.5D, don't they? Which is the 2D. Your characters in 2D, but there's backgrounds and foregrounds
Little
that you
Big
kind of
Planet
interact
was like
with.
that, I think.
Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
Shadow Complex is a really good game in 2.5D. I don't understand where it came from as a concept.
Streets of Rage did. They kind of cheated their way to that.
Kind of, yeah.
Which is a game I'd like to see remade now.
Yeah.
And also Road Rash is the one I had on my back of my head. I'd play like a Road Rash now. I'd play that.
Yeah. I just thought of another one, which I imagine Brad is going to actually have.
Road Rash.
No, I was going to say a game that they've never really brought back properly. They sort of hinted at it with an old PS3, Xbox 360 title called Renegade Ops, Desert Strike.
Oh, what a game.
Yes.
A proper remake of that would be
I had
good.
a totally mental one. I'm glad you didn't say. That's fine.
Okay.
I want a remake. I want fully updated, the smartest graphics you can get away with, but exactly the same music and sound effects as the original. IK Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best of luck with that.
Yeah, I'll play it.
Yeah. See?
Sure.
On sale.
I'd give it a
More than
go.
your games have got.
Give it time.
The thing with IK Plus, it's such a
Give me
great
game.
It would have to be a sort of PSN party game, put in at like the 68 quid mark, it would, just to get the right balance of it. But I think and if they, to be honest, if they just reported the PS1 version of it over to the PS4 store, it would be bought instantly. There would be no question.
I'm trying to think of some games that I played in that era. Thinking like I'm kind of going back to sort of Super Nintendo Mega Drive.
Yeah,
era.
I thought you would have chosen something like the Star Fox or.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Star Fox is still good now. Like,
Still playable,
if you HD remake Star Fox, you sort of lose part of the charm, which is that it was graphically incredible at the time.
Star
and looks
Fox
weird
Zero
now.
is basically this.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
the same story, and
There you
it's just slightly different controls, and well worth a play. By the way, if anybody has a Wii U,
I still have a Wii U.
You still have yours.
I've
don't
got
you?
one game left because Jen hasn't finished it yet.
Get yourself Star Fox Zero. I'll lend it you even because I'm not playing it. I'll bring it next time I do one of these. I'll bring it around.
All right, cool. I appreciate it.
It's worth it.
Maybe you'll get in for the 5th year anniversary shows.
My other thing is that I probably would just wait a little while and probably Star Fox Zero will get ported to the Switch because it seems to be every Wii U
Entirely
game
possible.
is being ported to the Switch at the moment.
To be fair, that's the only reason I've been considering getting the SNES Classic is to play Star Fox again.
Yeah. I know it's not the question, but the online platform's got quiet, hasn't it?
In terms of the announcements.
Like what they're doing.
Yeah, I think last I read they'd pushed it back a bit because what they wanted to do was a bit more complex than they were hoping or something along those lines. There's still rumblings of virtual console stuff. Been listings for GameCube ports appearing in online stores abroad.
Okay.
So there's a possibility they may adapt some of the more popular GameCube games, Sunshine.
It makes sense. It's not something they've done yet.
No, Mario Sunshine's been sort of kept relatively clear, isn't it? Luigi's Mansion would be quite like to play that again. That would work all right with the Switch, actually.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal. They did a remake of that, I think.
Did they?
Yeah.
Black. That was PS2.
Yeah, I don't think they've... Oh, no, there was a PS3 one, but
Didn't
I
they?
don't think it did very well.
It didn't, no. But David Jaffe still did it, didn't he? Still in charge of it.
Yeah, last thing I know he worked on was that Drawn to Death multiplayer shooter thing.
Yeah. seem to go anywhere.
I've never played it, even when it was given to me for nothing.
But yes, Super Nintendo wise, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. One, apart from Super Off-Road, which was really cool, which was an isometric. It was kind of like Desert Strike camera perspective.
Okay.
But it was a rally, like a rallycross
I know
game.
the
So it was
sort
just,
like
just,
Micro Machines then.
yeah, a bit like Micro Machines, but the same sort of thing.
Imagine that now.
Yeah. I think they did a
It's called Rocket League.
There is a current
Tabletop Racers.
Tabletop Racers, yeah.
Yeah,
It was all right.
There is actually a new Micro Machines called Micro Machines World Tour on the current gen.
Has it got a presenter from Bad Influence as a playable character?
Don't know.
Most obscure gaming joke
I
I've
know.
made on the show.
I forgot that was a thing until you pointed it out, and then I went, "Yeah, well, I'd have to. I know someone who owns it. I will have to ask him."
Thinking forwards a generation, going to the N64 sort of PS1 era, was a game I played the fuck out of on N64. It's called Hybrid Heaven, and I would love to see that find its way back to somewhere.
What was that?
So it's a hard one to explain. Basically, the premise was that people were being swapped out by identical shapeshift aliens who'd been sort of through reconstruction surgery to make themselves look the part. So at the beginning of the game, you play one person, you walk up and shoot somebody on a subway platform, and you don't really understand why. But it turns out it's like a weirdly convoluted plot where it's like, it turns out you've been subjected to this facial reconstruction. You're not an alien, but you've been subjected to it. So actually, what you're shooting is your doppelganger. Subway platform.
Okay.
But it was like a third-person RPG, but you could do wrestling moves. And it was like your moves were, you could walk up to an alien, get behind him, and German suplex him. Like that. And it was just silly, over the top kind of. It was Konami published.
Yep.
And it was just, it had that kind of quirky Japanese charm to it, makes it somewhat endearing. And like I say, you could.
Sounds a little bit silly in a like No More Heroes sort of way.
Yeah, kind of. It took itself a little bit more seriously than No More Heroes because it wasn't so kind of aware of its own tropes.
Okay.
But it was still fun as fuck.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones every now and then. I'm not a big emulation person because a lot of faff, but I do find myself sometimes going, would allow me to play Hybrid Heaven.
Yeah, more modern emulation gets more faffier the more recent it. Yeah. You're fine with like arcade or like Mega Drive.
My brother-in-law has an N64 with a shitload of games. I'm sure he can allow me to play it next time because it was fun as all.
Well, I'm always looking for new games to buy for my N64, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, by all means do it. Like I say, it's really fun, and it's weird to say, but it's one of those games where you didn't realise how much fun it was to put an alien in the Boston Crab until you did it.
Game I'd like to see a remake of is an Amiga game called It Came from the Desert.
Oh, nice.
It's like a 1950s B movie, right, where you were in the New Mexico desert and giant ants, like giant ants started appearing.
Cool.
But the interface was like a choose your own adventure selection option, what you want your character to do. So I think to see that remade with like a Heavy Rain or Until Dawn interface.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Well, even LA Noire actually could be good.
No. I think that's a movie.
Okay.
Same title.
Probably.
Okay.
Amazing poster.
No, that's the cover up.
Oh, is it?
That was the box.
Fantastic. That's glorious.
Tell you one, and think speaking of Amigas, actually,
that looks really good. Actually,
there's a series I'd like to see redone. You can do them as browser games, but they're not the same. The Infocom Choose Your Own Adventure games. They had about 30 of them, and we used to have this box of floppy disks. It just came in a box, and it was floppy disk after floppy disk of all the games they'd released. So it was
like Police Quest.
No, they were the Sierra did the Police Quest stuff, but it came out around the same time, and it was purely text based. So the Police Quest ones were graphical,
so
they were rudimentary graphics and stuff. But the Infocom ones were literally just text based. So it was like Zork, Zork 2, 3, 4, however many fucking games they made of those. Enchanter, which was a really good, really fun one, which is just like Conan the Barbarian style fantasy romp. One which I really loved called Deadline. You had 24 hours to solve a murder, and everything you did advanced the clock by 1 minute.
Oh.
So you had to be super efficient with what you were doing and not pursue any lines of questioning. So basically, you got there at, say, 7 in the evening, and the following day at 7, they would ask you, who do you think did it? And you would have to tell them definitively by 7 o'clock in order to beat the game.
Oh.
We never did. But that's mainly
Murderer
because
got away.
Yeah, I don't think we ever finished it. But to this day, that murderer is still at large somewhere in video game land.
Don't have nightmares.
No. But I say the Infocom ones you can get as browser games. You can play them in a web browser, but it's not. So it doesn't feel the same. It's like I want something more kind of authentic, without maybe having to install Reload Kick. What was the other one that they had as well, which was like that? It had a Hitchhiker's Guide licensed one as well.
That was Haddon's work.
Yeah. That one was good. That was basically just shot for shot kind of telling of the film, and you played as Arthur Dent. You died a lot, especially at the beginning, because you didn't realise, you couldn't remember how the fuck the movie opened, the TV show opened. Like, what the hell? When did he lay down first? Or just basically, you just saw that, I saw this text explaining that you got hit by a brick so many times. He goes in, demolishes the house, you get hit by a brick and die. Basically, that's the gist.
Nice.
Shortest game ever.
The other one we played was called The Lurking Horror, which was kind of Cthulhu-esque. Yeah. There's another one I really wanted them to remake, and they actually did recently, and it's as good, it's as fun as I remember. Was a obscure late 90s PC strategy game called Constructor.
Constructor, yes.
Yeah, so
I'm
they've
following
remade
that,
it. Yeah, they've remade it on PC. It's already out on PC, PS4, and Xbox, and it's due for Switch this year.
I think the Switch version is going to have more stuff from what I was reading.
Yeah, basically they've got a free content patch with the PS4 and the PC and the Xbox, but it's going to be baked into the Switch game. Yeah. So you don't get anything extra as such, but you just get it in one go rather than having to download extra stuff, which is always nice.
Like that, why has no one ever done Theme Hospital?
Do you know, it's funny you say that. I keep seeing this advertised on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen it as well.
Yeah.
Two Point Hospital.
Oh,
it's basically
like
a spiritual successor.
Yeah, it's actually people who previously worked at Bullfrog.
Oh, so it's like
the
Grim Commander sort of thing, where it's like the same guys, but they don't own anything. Right?
Bloodborne Legacy of Kain.
Oh, good choice.
With like a Witcher style UI rather than a top down.
Nice.
Yeah, that could be good. Yeah, with I think with the new one, instead of bloaty head, I think it's like people with light bulbs for heads, and it's called lightheadedness.
I thought that was going to go really dark from it. Yeah, instead of bloaty head, they've got cervical cancer.
Yeah, Bowler laughs this game.
Brilliant.
The fuck do you mean chemotherapy's in a loot box?
Banksy, eh?
It's like, you're welcome, mate. You don't have to buy them.
Yeah.
Dick.
I didn't realise you were literally the cancer of the gaming industry.
All right, Reddit. Yeah, Constructor was one I sunk a load of hours into. I'd quite like to see them have a stab at a HD remake of Knights of the Old Republic. Because they've now released it on Xbox One as a backwards compatible Xbox game.
I can play that on my Kindle.
Yeah,
it's weird. Never quite ceases to amaze me that it is on my phone if I ever want to play it. But yes, it's on the Xbox One as a backwards compatible Xbox game, and apparently they have tidied it up a little bit. Some of these they've been slightly upscaled to make them look a little bit tidier. So I've not had a chance to try it yet. I went out and bought it because, even though it was like £9, I think, well, that was quite good considering that as soon as that happened, they announced KOTOR was going to be one of the first games. CEX's prices jacked right up. Mm-hmm. Same with Ninja Gaiden Black, but thankfully I already own that.
Be very interested to see them do something with KOTOR 2 because, that was famously rushed and they cut a whole subplot out and the ending is nonsense because they sort of bolted it on the last minute, didn't they? So I'd like to see someone kind of not just HD remaster it, but maybe like finish it. Yeah, that'd be good.
This is a one. Do you think this would work with upgraded graphics, or do the graphics kind of a larger part of the appeal of it? Phoenix Wright.
Seen it remastered, and all it does is smooth around the edges. I think for cartoons you can get away with it. Okay. You don't necessarily. You're not going to notice a.
I was going to say I never played any of the Phoenix Wright games.
Oh, you'd like them? I think.
On iPhone, mate. Really good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I just assumed they were Nintendo DS only, or
they
were Capcom, so they're on. Yeah, iPhone.
They were at one point, and then they got.
I knew you could get him in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's about the only experience I had of him.
Yeah.
Well, only when you unlock the barrel scraper.
And if that's one thing Marvel vs. Capcom is good at.
Yeah. Your Fist of Doom is no match for my court battle.
Flinging papers over.
I give you.
Does he get into a legal battle with Matt Murdock? Is that how it works?
That'd be oh my god, that'd be like a mini game where they have to sort of I don't know, give us summing up and shit.
Just smashes both of them.
Yeah.
Objection, you're lying.
The litigators.
Oh crap! I can hear he's telling the truth.
I'd like to see them bring the Professor Layton games in a similar way across from somewhere, because they've been Nintendo exclusive all the way through. The only thing they have done is they've done Layton Mysteries or something, which is on phones now. But I got really put off by the price because it opened retail at £18.
Yeah, it's
which for a phone game is fucking
game,
obscene. Thankfully, I managed to wait for it to come down into a sale. And I have this thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's a Google app where if you do short surveys about shops you've been to recently, you get Google Play credit.
All right.
I managed to build up like £4 or £5 just basically telling them I went to Forbidden Planet the other day. It was cool. And it's literally all they ask. They'll ask like, oh, which of these 5 shops have you been to in the last week? And usually one of them is somewhere you have been to, and the other ones are just places you might have passed on the way. Yeah. And you go, okay, Forbidden Planet, I went there. When did you last go there? The day before yesterday. Rate your visit from 1 to 5. 5. I don't know. It was fine. I didn't buy anything, but I didn't actually intend to. Yeah, need some more water.
Yeah.
And then it would just go, thanks, here's 37p. Seems like a lot for not really doing anything. All I've done is say, yes, I was there. Yes, it was then.
Well, the moment Google realise they're not making any money, which, to be honest, I don't think they would notice.
No, at this point, it'd be like, whatever. Give them 37p.
I'd like them to remake Aliens Colonial Marines under my watchful eye. Do it properly.
Or the one they actually said they were going to make rather than what they made.
Yeah. I mean, I played it and it wasn't like complete shit. It was it was totally, I could play it to the end without any issue.
Well, no, as I said, I played it. I paid £3.79 for it. If I paid more than a tenner, a £5 or a tenner, I might have felt a little bit disappointed. Yeah. But for the amount I paid, I definitely got a pint of beer's worth.
My understanding is it would annoy me more as an Aliens fan than I'd enjoy it as a video game fan, and I'm much more an Aliens fan than I'm a video game fan.
Probably true, actually.
And I think I saw it for £3 and was like, I could just buy pizza and watch for Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Also, shit.
How the fuck do you buy pizza? For getting for £3
and shit as well.
Oh yeah.
Also,
I haven't could have gone all out.
Yeah. Oh, just adds wedges onto an existing pizza order. Yeah. I see.
You don't get potato on pizza very often, yet for the same reason, there's no reason you couldn't.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Would you like some carb with your carb?
Yes. Extra carb.
Put some fucking Doritos on it. I don't give a shit.
Tell you another one that I'd like to see him remake.
Egg in the middle.
Yeah. Pizza with an egg in the middle. Fuck it. What are we doing?
In 4K.
Okay. I'd like them to go back and redo Dark Forces, but give him another plot, because obviously they've overwritten it with Rogue One.
So would you play as Jyn Erso, or would you play as... Or Kyle-Katarn gets his own story?
Kyle-Katarn gets a different story.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would have the same arc, so he goes and does his story, defects from the Empire to the Rebels, because everybody, that's the trendy thing in games.
Oh, my retcon appearances.
Yeah.
Would you still have him become a Jedi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you'd have to work it slightly differently, because...
I'd have him kill Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Pre-episode 7.
To be honest...
That's how you rewrite continuity.
Okay, Death Star plans aside, I've not played every single Dark Forces game, and I never finish them. So obviously, if the plot does go in a direction I'm not aware of, obviously do correct me.
Okay.
Is there anything that I know they effectively decanonize it because they decanonize everything? But is there, aside from Death Star plans notwithstanding, is there any part of the stories afterwards that couldn't pop back in? Really?
The only thing is, in the old EU, there was like stories of how the Death Star plans were done like 4 times, and they just went, they got different bits of the plans.
Yeah, maybe. I suppose I could do it that way.
There's a game on the DS, I forget what, with the Twi'lek character.
God, Lethal Alliance or something, wasn't it? Yeah. It was kind of. It looked shash.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Well,
I couldn't tell you if it's any good
Professor
or not.
Layton. Yeah.
We bought it for my nephew because we bought him a DS and a load of games for cheap on eBay for Christmas. Get both of them. That was one of his. It's just like, that'll do. Yeah. But I think he tried to play it for like about 30 seconds. Like, it's too hard.
Uncle Spike, this is shit.
Yeah.
Get good.
Yeah. You ruined my Christmas.
And every previous Christmas.
Retroactively with this.
What's wrong with you, kid? You got a weird concept of how time works. Yeah, so there's, I suppose, thinking back on it, let me think of the plot of Dark Forces. So he starts off taking the Death Star plans, and he meets the Dark Troopers and all that. Jedi Knight, he finds out his father was a Jedi, gets the lightsaber, goes after Jarek, who's Dark Jedi and all that. Yep. Yeah.
Dark Jedi cult, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Jarek sounds right.
And then Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight 2, which was technically Dark Forces 3, but who's keeping track? Clearly not Lucasfilm at the time. Or LucasArts, rather. Jedi Knight 2 was about him going after a rogue student of Luke's who found the Valley of the Jedi again or something like that. Yeah. And then Jedi Academy was about a couple of students who went to Luke's Academy under Carl's eye, and then one goes bad and one goes after him.
Okay. So maybe the later games couldn't be done. But I thought you could definitely do up to and including Jarek.
You do Dark Forces for a start.
You do Dark Forces and just
do Dark Forces because
retell it from some other thing. He's helping the rebels in a different way.
To be honest, when the Death Troopers turned up in Rogue One, I thought they were Dark Troopers.
Oh, same. Same as when that TIE fighter turned up. I thought it was going to be in the movie.
Original plan was it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Which one?
I heard.
The one in the trailer was they recut a shitload of stuff.
I heard the guys who made the trailer were told, "I'll put the TIE fighter in. You know, it's not in the movie. Yeah, but it'll look good in the trailer."
What type? Which one?
One
trailer.
There's a point where Jin's walking out towards the balcony and the TIE fighter comes raises up.
Oh yeah.
I think it was Rebel Force Radio interview. They said someone who said it was never supposed to be in.
That's entirely possible. I mean, it might be one of those ones that they were maybe not
just one
sure.
interview among a wealth of hundreds.
Yeah, possibly. It's also possible that it was one that they weren't 100% sure was going to get cut, but strongly suspected or something because they had to they rewrote part of the ending at one point. That's why they did a load of reshoots that were sort of.
But also, why go to all the effort of making all this footage if you're not?
Because we like Peter Cushing, Blake.
Well, yeah, but
not in that bit.
Yeah,
he's not fighter.
I was just over just standing on the top.
You know, you've now made a load of people go and rewatch the trailer to see if they can spot him.
If you're going to put the effort of digitally resurrecting Peter Cushing, you may as well have him moonwalking across the top of a TIE fighter because it costs no more extra money by that point.
What's up, bitches?
Told me her name was Billie Jean. This song doesn't exist yet. It's like I was listening to Cinema Sins, the YouTube channel. They did one of no, not Cinema Sins, Honest Trailers. They did one of Aladdin, and they said that Robin Williams was such a good genie that he managed to do impressions of characters who didn't exist in the time and wouldn't exist for 2,000 more years. He's doing like Johnny Carson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all that. Jack Nicholson. It's just, this genie is so prophetic he can do characters who don't exist. Anyway, games. Yeah. So Jedi Knight would be cool. That Dark Forces series.
The X-Wing games.
Yeah, that would work. And
they were great. They were
like
flight sims. They weren't like afterburner Battlefront throw yourself around stuff. They were good.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we bought X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. And that was the reason we had to get Windows 95, because up until then we were running in MS-DOS. And I didn't realise at the time, this is when I learned about reading the specs. Age about 12 or 13, I think, was when I learned my first lesson. Mainly because up until that point, everything we'd bought was fine and just worked. So, it was the first game we played where Windows 95 was required, not just, runs better this way.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to, I said to my dad, I can't play this game. And he said, well, that's fine. We've been meaning to upgrade anyway, so we might as well just do it. I ended up playing that a lot to justify it because I felt bad. That and the first GTA was basically my most played games, because at the time I was about 14, 15, I think, when it first came out, the first one. Yeah. And I remember, even then, on some sort of TV like GMTV or some sort of twee middle morning content show during the summer holidays, there was an interview with a kid who'd picked up the latest issue of PC Gamer and played the GTA demo, even though it said 18 plus only.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, how did you feel about the game? He's like, it's very disturbing watching that. And I remember even at the time thinking, pussy.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, I think it came out and I said to my dad, this game looks really cool. I'd quite like to play it. And birthday came around or something and I got it. Weird. I don't remember much about being a child. I remember being smaller, but not by much. Yeah. So,
it's repressed a lot.
Yeah. This is it, So if the day I do visit a therapist, it'll just be like the Ark of the Covenant's been opened. Therapist's face just melts straight off. But as I remember the interviewing the kid, and him saying, it was very disturbing what I saw. And I just felt like, one, it's just a game, mate.
I say GTA 1 is this?
Yeah. One, it's just a game, mate.
What was disturbing in that? I mean, theoretically...
You could mow down some Hare Krishnas, that was about it.
Yeah, I think it was the fact you got a combo bonus for it. No, the mowing down of Hare Krishnas, if you're going to mow people down, you kind of apply it equally, but the fact you got a bonus for doing so was kind of like,
The game was
it was just all top
kill
down.
Frenzy.
I wouldn't say the game was outrightly disturbing because there wasn't really any graphical of it. I think the only game I ever played that I thought, hang on, this might be a little bit too far, and even though I'm like, I wasn't offended by it, was like Manhunt. That was like one of the first games where I went, yeah, if they wanted to have a go at this, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I was about
gruesome.
12, I played Mortal Kombat 2 so much I had nightmares. And I
About
stopped.
Mortal Kombat or just...
Well, it kind of, sort of. I played 50 in a row because it was you were able to fight Noob Saibot.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I played it long enough to fight Noob Saibot, and then the Super Nintendo overheated and crashed because I'd played it for 50 straight games trying to beat Noob Saibot to get to Noob Saibot. And then I had nightmares about being pursued into my room by shadow people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those ones where it's very vivid to the point where you think you're awake.
Yeah.
And I was watching, in my dream, I was watching people, like shadow people. I was in a bunk bed. And I was watching shadow people climb up the ladder and actually make their way over, and I was like, "Fucked up, fuck me up."
Yeah, you really shouldn't have watched Ghost the same day.
There is that, and
You
then
also really shouldn't have watched Ghost.
and then there was that. Then I had nightmares about pottery classes and Patrick Swayze fucking.
Yeah, we've all had that nightmare.
Yeah, I want to ease up on the Roadhouse a bit there.
Made a beautiful vase though.
Yeah.
Just shame it was covered in jizz.
The episode title.
There you go. A vase covered in jizz.
What games did you like to see brought back? A vase covered in jizz.
Yeah.
Star Wars Behind the Magic. I want that updated for new canon.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That was pretty cool, actually. Even then.
If that would have been a book, I would have read that thing from cover to cover. I think I did all of it.
Nice.
It was, instead of revising for my GCSE homework.
I remember they did a thing like that. It was an interactive CD-ROM thing called Star Warped. And it was a send-up of Star Wars stuff. And it was one of the voices I remember being Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. I don't know who the other guy was, but he might have been somebody famous as well. Famous in voice actor circles, obviously being relative term varying. But it was basically just a load of sketches and send-ups of Star Wars things. It was pretty funny. Like, it was kind of presented like a prop closet, sort of interactive, and you could click on things to open up stuff. And it would have things like little storyboard animatics of what if Empire Strikes Back was directed by Tarantino, and it was just Luke swearing at Vader, but Vader looked like Harvey Keitel and stuff like that.
You made me think of things that aren't quite games that we might like. I don't know. Everybody of my age seemed to have one of those movie maker things.
I had the 3D one. There was a Nickelodeon one, which apparently was incredible. I
All
had
the 2D ones with the GIFs basically that you overlaid. Oh yeah.
I had the Nickelodeon 3D movie maker, and it was so much fun.
The Windows one with the guy with the big blue nose.
Yes,
that's
and
what
the
I was
policeman
building up towards.
And the sound effects was like
the fact that you could record your own dialogue. I thought which was kind of revolutionary at that point. I guess I would kill for that game to exist again. That was so good.
I love the movies.
I
have it over there.
Quite as
no, I have.
But that was it. Bridge the gap between the two things quite nice. Yeah, I'd love to play that again. I enjoyed that game a lot.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work with Windows 10, and there's obviously because Activision has just killed support for it because it's Lionhead, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Who did it. Lionhead have just been bought out and then just kind of left to rot. There's no support for it. I might have a look and see if there's like a fan-made patch that makes it work, because I'd love to play that again. And I was actually at one point going to do an E14 cartoon series with it. But I just never got a chance. And then, let's say, upgrading through various versions of Windows over the years, I've just not been able to actually get it working long enough to even get it going.
Talking about things that don't work, there's a specific game that I'd love to work now is the Space Hulk Vengeance of the Blood Angels, because there's been a lot of Space Hulk games.
Oh, that was the first-person shooter, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the one where it was a FPS most of the time, but you sort of paused it to give orders on the Space Hulk board, and you only had a limited amount of time to give the orders.
Almost like faster than light. It was real time, but you could pause real time. Yeah.
It was on the...
Yeah, I'm just trimming.
His lollipop is so loud. I was trying not to corpse over it.
It doesn't come through on the mic.
I know. In the room, it's like thunderclaps.
I honestly just thought you'd broken a tooth.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Jesus, you all right?
Nope, just my face.
Just my enormous jaw.
My mono tooth.
Yeah, they did do that game for PS1, I think, but I had it on the PC. But the PC version was this really weirdly specific. It became obsolete really quickly. It was like they... Yeah, so
sounds like
I'd love that to work again.
Sounds like the Bureau XCOM Declassified. That was third person, and then you could go to the tactical map and issue other audios to other people.
A little bit,
yeah.
But if it had the difficulty of enemy unknown,
yeah.
Best thing about it was the voice acting. Actually, me and my dad still talk about it. He played it with me, and like he doesn't play many games, but we found it hilarious that each of the Space Marines would say his own name, and it was just there was something about them going, Amael, Samuel, Bethor. You know, that was just really funny. Bethor especially, he was my hero.
Oh, that reminds me, speaking of fun voice acting, Warcraft 1.
Destroy all humans. Oh yeah, Warcraft 1.
I never
Destroy all humans, yes.
Warcraft and or Warcraft 2.
Yeah, I was
easy.
going to say, I didn't play Warcraft until Warcraft 2. But,
Warcraft 1 was similarly fun.
So, for the benefit of our younger listeners, Warcraft used to be an RTS.
Yes,
Yeah.
used to be. And,
yeah, you'd be
for our
amazed how
benefit-
many people don't actually know
benefit
that.
of our
I
younger
know.
listeners, RTS stands for real-time strategy game.
Which is a thing people used to play in the
Yeah.
90s.
Because board games were turn-based strategy, and then they went to real-time strategy, and now, strangely, they've kind of gone back to turn-based strategy again.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I used to love, because Warcraft 2, I think, was one of the first instances of that I never noticed, sort of repeatedly clicking on a person and then they actually get annoyed.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And there was the first StarCraft, which was pretty damn awesome as well.
yeah, that was good.
Now, they have remade that, haven't they?
I believe you're right, yes.
Yes, there is a remake of that, and have they made StarCraft 2 free to play now?
I believe so, but
Or
then
something like
I've
that.
got some
The
weird
world of
situation
StarCraft.
with my Battle.net account where they've given me the expansion for free, but for some reason I can't access the game, even though I fucking own it. I don't understand what's going on with mine.
bar me having a big binge of it when I first got a review copy through
That fucking review copy.
E14. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, we got an advanced review
Got
copy
advanced
of
copy.
StarCraft 2, and then it was time locked. So you couldn't play it until the game launched. And I remember if it was like, I emailed a guy saying, hi, this game's time locked. Is there a way we can get in and play it? And about half an hour later, he blasted it to everyone's address book. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
That happened to me. This is a weird one. So I've got like a bunch of podcasts, obviously, in my phone, subscriptions and stuff. And one of the episodes came up today. And normally this podcast has like episode 110. This is what the subject line is. Like, you know, like we do, kind of. Maybe there's a line from the episode, or there's a clever sort of play on words or whatever. The episode was just called "I'm Busy." So it's a 2.5 hour show, mate. I'm not surprised you're doing too much editing, putting too much pressure on yourself.
It's one of those, sorry, we haven't done an episode in a while things.
No, it was a normally scheduled episode. So
I
I
just called it I'm busy.
I wonder if he just typed it in the wrong field or something, and then was just like, "Oh fuck!" I forgot to mention it to him. I was gonna. Oh well.
Well, you have now.
Sorry, Carl. If that did go out accidentally, then I apologise. So your fault.
One that could be rebuilt from the ground up. There was an EA game on a Mega Drive called Haunting, where you played as a ghost and you possessed items around the house to try and scare the family out of the house. A remake from the ground up of that with modern graphics, maybe even a bit darker because it was quite
I feel
90s
like
magenta
that
and cartoony.
Maybe not that game, but I feel like that premise has been done.
There was a puzzle game on PlayStation,
Kind
something
of-
like Pixel
maybe.
Haunting, something like that.
Maybe.
It was a bit
Which
like
is
the Friday
fun,
the
but it's more
13th
of a
one as
hit and
well.
go type puzzle
Maybe.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday the 13th is fun in a
Yeah,
first-person shooter with no
the
shooting.
EA Haunting
Yeah.
on the Mega Drive was more like a, slightly platformery, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
slightly puzzle game because you had so much energy and you had to scare everyone out of the house. It was incredibly 90s though. The ghost had fucking... There was the hair and the like jacket and all that
What was it
sort of
called?
thing.
I'm just looking up all the
Or,
games. Every game that
Haunting. I
gets
think it's just called
mentioned.
Haunting on Mega
Oh,
Drive.
here's another game that was twice. Freelancer. That was like one of the precursors to like X2 and X3.
Yeah.
A sort of open world space
It's sort of
expansive.
Elite, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit like that. It was, I think it might have even been the same developers, but it had a really good story.
Yeah.
I remember I just got it for free with a PC magazine. With it just came as like a freeware game on the front of a PC magazine. I was living in France, and I just played the absolute fuck out. And this was bearing in mind I had KOTOR to play as well, so I was just like, it must have captured my interest quite significantly.
Yeah.
Also, Football Manager 2005, but I'm not bothered about having the because they do it every year. That's
Yeah. Fair.
the thing. You never think of these things like in terms of remakes. You never think, oh, that's a particularly good FIFA, or things like that.
Yeah, that's
Wow. The only one I would say I would like is I'd like them to do another WWE game where they have a GM mode like SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah,
Because that GM mode was
games.
fucking awesome. I
There's some
absolutely
good
lost hours.
tabletop fantasy wrestling games I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Dig us up if you want to go.
Yeah, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we provisionally made a play date for that last episode.
Probably,
but in between.
Not a remake, I know, but actually having Fire Pro come to this country would be nice.
That would
yes.
be fucking wonderful.
That was a great game.
Because all I've seen is people. I've watched the What Culture Wrestling guys play it. Play one of the Fire Pros, and so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm obviously having fun with my Switch version of 2K18. He was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, he wasn't Stone Cold when he fucking walked out.
Yeah, there when he walked
Steve
out.
Austin. Glass was still intact.
Oh, the delayed glass smash. Would be brilliant.
The graphics are going full speed.
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah.
That's the other way around.
It's the other way around
The
where
music
the-
goes from normal speed and the animations don't. With Stone Cold, it's not so bad because he just walks down to the ring, does the turnbuckle thing. But with somebody like Bobby Roode, where you
long
need
ones.
the music cues and the lighting cues and the animation cues, it just looks wrong.
That's a shame.
It is a shame.
Because I've actually had a proper go on the Switch now from work, and I was genuinely impressed at how well it works with
Brilliant.
stuff that's built for it.
Mhm.
So that's
Brilliant.
kind of a shame because like I have to boot up each of the consoles in like double quick time.
Mhm.
The PS4 is a fucking nightmare because it has to tell me off and restart every time.
Passive aggressive PS4.
Xbox One is fine, but I have to sign in every controller.
Yeah.
You
fair
know,
enough.
but then the Switch is just
Boom.
hello. Press this button 3 times. Now the game is playing.
Yeah.
And if you want to, I know, like somebody, it's been 1-2 Switch for all of them, but then one kid wanted to play Pokken Tournament, so I had to raid the other box, get the other Switch 2 controllers so 2 kids could play. I was like, well, what do I do? Like with these ones, I've got to sync them up. How do I do that? And then turned out all you do is you just attach the new controllers to the Switch.
Yeah.
They just sync.
And they just sync.
And I was amazed.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's brilliant. It's one of the best bits of kit I bought in ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I say, the WWE 2K18, we talked about it on the last episode. I think it was rushed for Christmas, which is a shame because if they'd left it till after Christmas, I think if it had come out now, or with Royal Rumble, WrestleMania coming up, people would have still been up for it. Because it's a shame that you sort of rushed it out because it is, and apparently 2K have a bad track record for not going back and fixing games afterwards. So I may be stuck with what I've got, which is playable and quite fun, but not best experience. Yeah, I was just hoping for more. I don't know, it's like 70% of the game I was hoping for. I had to ballpark it, maybe 73 at a push.
On the plus side, now that Switch has been out for a while, hopefully 2K19 will be a bit more optimized for it. Okay, it won't be PS4, Xbox One, but it will be. Hopefully, it will be optimized
I'd
more
be happy
for the
if they
actual
just
console.
went back to the old sort of No Mercy style. Like, it doesn't have to be beautiful to play well. That No Mercy wasn't exactly a pretty game, especially if you go back and watch old videos of it being played now. It's blocky as all hell. The arms look like they're made out of balls, like they're made out of kitchen roll.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much fun. And, you can have an hour-long ladder match that's just back and forth. Every time you think you've got it won, somebody can come back and run up and sort of jump you off and stuff.
More momentum, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, the way the 2K18 one, it's quite like the system got in the new ones. It's you run up to the top of the ladder, then you've got you're tracing the outline with your right stick, and there's a little gap, and you flick it in to sort of jump into between the gap, and if there's like a little center, like a ball in the center, you have to touch that with a smaller ball that you've run around the edge. You have to look for holes and time it right.
Oh, okay.
And you sort of basically work the case free over time by doing that. But anything you do is saved. So if you manage to get 3 notches out of 10, and then you get knocked off and somebody else comes up, they can pick up from notch 3, carry on.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a bit of a back and forth thing. I learned that having Braun Strowman doesn't help, even though he's like a foot taller than some of the others. There you go. Anyway, yeah, remake games because
I thought one. I don't know if this is a game that anybody else knows, but I used to love playing this World War I flight sim called Dawn Patrol that was on across like 5 floppy disks. So it's pretty
rings a bell.
old school.
Yeah.
It was like you could count the pixels that each plane was made out of. But apart from the graphics, I don't think I'd change a single thing about the game.
Okay.
So it would be great just to see an HD remaster.
Was it more like a flight sim?
It was just a straight flight sim, really. But it was good because the planes are quite simple. They didn't have to be too technical, and it was you could really just focus on the dogfighting and once you got the basics down.
Flight sims could get really nuts and bolty.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember playing MiG-29 on a Mega Drive.
Yeah.
And it was just like, there's nothing remotely resembling a Mega Drive controller on the controls of an actual MiG-29.
It's like Steel Battalion.
So I would go through the manual, and one of two things would happen. After I would get bored, and pull in the undercarriage, or I will get bored and fire the ejector seat. But the best bit was it then did a replay for you. The replay was just this camera spinning around this MiG, which either went onto the concrete or.
If I ever told this story on the podcast, I remember I wrote about it, but I used to have this game on our first 386 PC back when they were the shit.
I'm fucking remembering this. I
know.
Yep.
That's why I'm laughing probably harder than everyone else.
So we're playing. We used to have this. We had 3 games on this machine. We had a version of Columns called Beyond Columns. We had a jukebox that played 3 MIDI songs, and they were all royalty-free ones like Peter and the Wolf.
Oh yes,
and the Entertainer and things like that.
I think you've.
And then the third one was a game called F-29 Retaliator, which was a jet flight sim. And if you got blown up, you could eject. But if you ejected manually, the plane was still controllable from using the controls. So you could very easily just steer the plane back round and then fly back through yourself, and you wouldn't die because fuck it, reasons. But it was just funny. It's just funny to watch this plane just circle as you were dropping down to the ground. Because the other thing as well is you could be 60,000 feet in the air, and it wouldn't speed up to get you down to the ground quicker. You would fall at the speed you were allowed.
Speed, yeah.
Yeah, so that one was one that we were happy to replace in terms of PC experience. And that's just made me think of another game, actually. We used to have this adventure game. It's a very unusual one. It's quite obscure, and it seems to be one of the ones, it's not particularly well thought of, but me and my sister used to have a ton of fun playing it. It was called Bureau 13, and it was an adventure game about a group of characters who were all paranormal in some way. So they all had some sort of ability, like you even had a vampire. And there was a bit where you had to steal an item from somebody, and you could follow them into the ladies' locker room because you could become mist, and then just go into the shower and just kind of blend in with the rest of the mist and steal the stuff.
Familiar.
Yeah, it was weird.
I don't know that one.
It was very, very odd.
Sounds a bit Seventh Guesty.
Almost. Yeah, it was like a sort of Paranormal A-Team almost in terms of.
A bit puzzle gamey, the way you were describing it, but I mean it might not be. Is it a bit like what were those games like Lost Dwarves or that Goblin one, a bit similar, where it was like a puzzle game where you had characters of a specific ability but you had to use them to get, was it Goblins?
To a point,
and Lost Vikings, the one you're thinking
Lost Vikings, the other one. There were 2 similar games where they had each one had a special power.
Oh, right.
And you used them to get through the level.
It wasn't so much like Lost Vikings, but it was kind of a mix of an adventure game and puzzle stuff, because you did have to choose the right.
It looks like it was an pen and paper RPG as well.
Okay. Yeah, that may be where it came from.
Does that look like it? Yeah.
The characters look vaguely familiar.
I guess the
I remember there was
different.
one guy who was sort of descended from Native Americans. I don't remember what his power was.
I'm guessing that's the game.
That is the game,
but they look quite similar.
Yeah,
but yeah. It's a pen and paper RPG as well.
It was quite entertaining. You know, yeah, it was quite entertaining.
The guy says it's got absolutely wonderful fluff, but the rules are probably too complicated for the style of the fluff.
A lot of older tabletop games haven't dated well. We're just so used to modern systems.
I thought about buying some GURPS books, and I looked at them. I was scared off.
GURPS was a system hampered by its own solution. GURPS, the idea was you bought the main rulebook, which is the nuts and bolts of a system, and then you buy bolt-on books, which would give you the Chrome for it. So you'd have a GURPS rulebook, and then you could get GURPS Steampunk, GURPS D&D, GURPS Call of Cthulhu, GURPS Pulp.
You got loads of them down the road.
The main problem was the main system wasn't very good. So you ended up with a load of books that weren't very good.
It was kind of...
it was the soda stream of role-playing games.
It was kind of trying to do everything. I guess it's the problem of trying to do everything, isn't it?
Basically. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And certainly for some systems like, I don't know, Deadlands, where the actual mechanics worked with the theme of the game so well, it didn't work. D20 as an open system, it was more successful.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I read somewhere that Fallout was born out of trying to do a video game of GURPS.
Okay. I could believe that. Yeah.
Well, there was adapted from the original Wasteland, I think. That's one I thought it would be nice I'd like to see them do the original Fallout world with the new Fallout interface. So, like with the sort of first person, third person options, but use the original
top-down isometric.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I still have it somewhere.
Have you played the board game yet?
Yeah,
how was? Yeah,
it's long. But it's good.
Looked like it would be. Yeah,
it's a long afternoon, evening time. It's like a long evening stroke, all afternoon, a kind of game. It's good though. It's very. It's not like anything I've played recently, at the very least. It's got like a very incredibly story-driven deck to the point where it's got a story deck, and once as you complete quests, it says burn this card and replace it with this one in the shuffle pile. Ooh. It's really cool. It works very well.
I'd love to play.
Yeah, I'll say we'll sort it out for some time. Maybe it works as a Let's Play, who knows? Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Proper long form
I played it and I wasn't really thinking about it in those terms. I was just trying to get my head around the rules because some of them were a little bit fiddly.
I think my mate, talking about Let's Play stuff and completely taking a tangent.
That's fine. That's what we do.
I think that Thunderbirds co-op game. That
I really want.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's quite short.
Your dad wants to play it.
Yeah, well, we should, that's because it's like I've played it a couple of times now with Z-Stacks. Basically, we've ended up getting like 3 or 4 games in because you either you get to the end or you fuck it up and die really quickly.
Okay.
So we're able to just go, you want to try to do that again? And then it's just restarted like 3 times
Does
before
the
we actually
episode just
beat
go 5 and then it's the credits?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Hang on, I'll come in again. 5.
5.
What I love about Thunderbirds is you could tell who the least favourite child was.
The one who got exiled to space.
The one, well, you get a rocket, you get a vertical takeoff craft, you get a spaceship. You're pissing yourself for 5 months.
That's the problem with that, because each
character... like catheters.
We nerfed the rule where you have to randomly pick a character because I ended up with John Tracy.
Okay.
And you begin on Thunderbird 5 and you can't do anything until someone comes up in Thunderbird 3 and picks you up. You're stuck on Thunderbird 5, unable to do anything as a player character. But it's a fucking brilliant game.
5.
We should play it.
5.
Any emergencies?
5.
Any emergencies, anyone?
It's like, and you're...
I'm out of depends. Please send fun. It doesn't matter.
5.
Oh God, Robin 0G. It's just floating everywhere. It's in my moustache. It's in my moustache.
5.
The perils of John Tracy.
Yeah.
Gordon's not much better, to be fair.
A bit dark star, haven't we?
Yeah. It's totally like that.
I'd love a Thunderbird 5 with a talking bomb on it.
Has anyone ever done a Thunderbirds video game?
If anyone would know, I'd ask you, to be honest.
Well, that's it. I've not heard of one, but...
I feel like
I'm
there's
aware of.
probably some kid-centric PC experience. It's probably not a pseudo
like a
game.
VTech type thing.
Yeah, like a pseudo game.
But like...
Yeah, there
really
should
play
be.
that.
Give it to Telltale.
Learn to count
Hang on,
with John Tracy.
hang on.
5.
Thunderbirds, the video game, the Game Boy Color.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, the hallmark of quality.
Oh, and there was one on PS2 as well.
Oh.
Oh, and there was one of the movie on Game Boy Advance. Shit. None of these look great.
I'm guessing by the fact we'd never heard of them that they're not good.
Yeah,
You probably
turd,
saw them in a newsagent at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Shit, there's a Captain Scarlet one too.
Worst video game ever.
How's your health bar looking? Fine.
This is it. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. Try and warp his mind by all means, but don't try and blow him up. What's the point?
Jim, the Mistron's puppet isn't working. Don't worry, I've got an idea.
I'm trying to think of an equivalent of how stupid it is that Captain Scarlet was always blown up. Because, you know...
Kept trying.
I don't get...
The thing is, he couldn't die,
Yeah.
but they always still lost.
Yeah.
That was the thing. It's like the Mysterons kind of got their way and won every week. But the fact that Captain Scarlet would fail to be killed, because that was not their objective. Their objective was always something else. And he always kind of failed to stop them doing the thing, like assassinating this guy.
So you're not selling it to me anymore. Like, even
the idea of a guy who his only superpower is to constantly witness his own failures. I mean,
Till the end of time.
To me, that's actually more interesting.
See, it's kind of it's nihilistic.
That's the Telltale series I want.
It shouldn't have been called Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. It should have been Captain Scarlet and the Disciplinary Meeting.
I'd love a Telltale game like that.
Well, Scarly, here we are again.
Yeah.
Captain Scarlet, he's on strike too.
Oh, well, they made a Game Boy Advance one that was just a really boring bullet hell game by the look of it. Look, there's nothing on that screen.
Nothing hell for Captain Scarlet in that.
There's literally just Thunderbird 1 with nothing on the screen.
Sorry.
And also,
makes no sense. That makes as much sense as, I don't know, making a Judge Dredd movie and putting an ABC warrior in it.
Yeah.
I would love
He did look good,
Captain.
though.
Yeah.
I'd love a Captain Scarlet Telltale game where it's like, you got your 4 options as each of the buttons, and each one is choose a failure, basically.
Like this, I'm still alive.
Yeah, and one of them is just like, just piss yourself or something.
Captain Scarlet and his B45.
Captain Scarlet reeks of ammonia.
Captain Scarlet, high school lifeguard.
I'm trying to think. Let's say I'm still trying to think what the equivalence in stupidity would be with Captain Scarlet being blown up. I'm trying to think. It's like
Captain Scarlet, farm veterinarian.
It's like the one from League of Gentlemen. Basically,
Captain Scarlet is about only to witness his own failures. He's literally going through job after job each week.
Yeah, that's it.
Captain Black is always like his worst nightmare customer or something.
A 5-part Telltale series. We have a different job in each episode. That would just be brilliant.
Captain Scarlet, Ensign Scarlet. One more chance.
Yeah, the last episode is like, this is your last chance.
Private Scarlet, this is your last chance.
Civilian Scarlet is episode 5.
Yeah.
The fuck am I going to do? Series 2, we see him working at Baskin Robbins.
And the ice cream, serving up ice cream to lactose intolerant people.
The ice cream just falls on his foot. He's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
By the end of Series 2, they only trust him with 3 of the flavours.
He keeps falling over and breaking his neck and just getting up again. Slipping on cones.
Then you end up a Hollywood producer.
Yeah.
An all-female Ghostbusters movie. That sounds great.
Like, people aren't happy about this.
Works in marketing for Sony Pictures. They're just like, quick, people aren't happy about the trailer. Tell them they all hate women.
Put Hillary up. She'll stop him.
Captain Scarlet, thanks Obama.
And on election night, he just gets run over. He wakes up again. I was like, did we win? No.
End of Series 28 of Captain Scarlet, the Telltale series.
I'd buy that game.
It's with just him looking at a poster that just says 4 more years.
Or at the very end, he's like full of despair. He tries to kill himself and he can't.
For 2 reasons.
I feel like
he can't die. 2, he just fails.
I feel like by the end of Series 28, he's tried it multiple times, and it's just going wrong every single time.
Final series is him sat in the Kekigahara forest hoping for the best.
Every suicide method he tries has this vastly unintended and horrendous side effect. Well, I mean, the building you blew up did contain scientists most likely to crack the cancer genome. You know what, Jeff? It's
Jeff
fine.
Scarlet.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Who, you know, in many ways, it was our fault for leaving you in charge of the KFC.
Captain Scarlet talks to Logan Paul. Got nothing else to do while he's there.
Yeah, true. It's true. Oh, dear me. So we've got a better pitch, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've gone from starts from remakes, and we've ended up pitching a 28 series long Captain Scarlet Telltale adventure.
I'm totally
just interested to know if this is going to win out over Vase of Jizz for the title.
The final,
I don't know where to go with Captain
the
Scarlet.
final series conclusion should be they give him one last chance, and all he's got to do is sit on a space station until someone comes to get him.
Oh, jeez.
John Tracy begins.
And then you cut to the last half hour of Deep Impact.
And then Aerosmith Don't Want to Miss a Thing plays over the edge, and they go, Scarlet, that's the wrong fucking theme song. I'm sorry.
5.
I thought perhaps sound designer was the one. Oh no.
Fuck me up. I don't know how I've managed to drink my drink during this. The amount of time I've almost spat it out.
Right, this is only expensive.
Fuck me.
Oh, God. Any other remakes?
Can't top that. Can't top that.
Where do we go?
Yeah, I think that's
a good
that's
point.
the hour.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this episode a tenth as much as we have, then you've had a fucking good time. So if you feel like getting back into it, you can go back and catch all our old episodes on the following subscription services: iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, Amazon Echo. I feel like I'm missing one.
Spotify.
Spotify, thank you. So you can also find the other E14 podcast, The Crazy Train, on all of the above mentioned things. And actually on Amazon Echo, Crazy Train will work.
If you aren't already subscribed to The Crazy Train, do, because that one kind of felt like a Crazy Train to give you a kind of a vibe for it.
If you like a bunch of twats falling around laughing because they've gone off the rails so thoroughly.
If you enjoyed that Captain Scarlet bit, then The Crazy Train is for you. Absolutely.
I may just, if somebody says, what's the kind of mission statement of your podcast, I'll just clip that bit out and just send it over.
A demo reel.
Yeah, this basically. Don't talk about video games instead. Replace video games with blank, and you've got The Crazy Train. Just keep the video games in. You've got the Gamecast.
We'll do a limited 7-inch release of a Captain Scarlet bit.
There you go.
Oh yes,
on blue vinyl because we fucked up. So you can find all the podcasts and everything else we do on emotionally14.com. Much like all our video game and tabletop related things, we also have some gaming videos on our YouTube channel. Guys, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at fucksakeblake. You can find me on Instagram at Harmer the Appreciator. And you can find me on Facebook in general.
Spike?
You can find me on Instagram at SpyDirection and Twitter at _SpyDirection. And it really.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Facebook's too confusing to even bother with.
That's fine. I never impose that upon people because obviously some people are okay with their profile being accessible and some
Not
people
that
aren't,
anyone's
so.
ever contacted me and was like, "Hey, you SpyDirection who's occasionally on the Crazy Train?" I'm like, that's never happened, so it's probably not an issue.
I've had that, but obviously.
Yeah, well, of course you have.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always on.
Yeah, well, there is that.
I've had one person.
I was doing a book signing and someone asked me if I was the same Brad from The Crazy Train.
I know.
Yeah.
Fucking surreal.
It's great. Made my day, that. Somebody else getting recognised for my hard work.
I'm there a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. At least 50%, I think.
It would have been worse
I've
if
got
they
the
come up
spreadsheet.
to me and said, "Are you Rob Wade from The Crazy Train?"
Yeah, that would have been like, fuck.
It'd be like Scarlet, really?
Yes, I'm Rob. Inconveniently, would you like to buy my fucking book?
They bought a book, to be fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I figured they probably would.
Oh, my convention appearances.
Speaking of which, Brad, social media.
You can find me on Facebook. So you do it. You find me on Facebook by searching for Brad Harmer Barnes. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at RealBradHB, and you can find my books through Amazon.
And you can buy those books using the E14 widgets that are available. So yeah, you can find Brad's books and any other bits and pieces on Amazon that you wish to buy. You can do it through the E14 widget, which is available on the bottom of the page and also on the support E14 page. You can also find all the other stuff we're associated with. So we are partnered with Humble Bundle, partnered with Fanatical, that used to be Bundle Stars, that also does a similar product. We sell T-shirts on TeePublic, we sell Redbubble, all sorts of crazy shit. So you can buy all that stuff through various E14 ads and links and stuff. We try and keep the ads very, very minimal and not intrusive and over the top. Because I tell you what, one thing, just as a quick aside, that bugs the fuck out of me is when you load up a page and the ad comes in over the top, starts playing, and you can't dismiss it until it's finished.
Remember when Wikipedia was readable?
Oh God! And it's like,
awful.
If you just gave £10 a year, it's like, yeah, maybe if you provided a service that didn't piss me off, then I would give that £10 a year very happily.
It's gotten almost unreadable sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Sorry, I started talking about Wikipedia. That too.
I think there's a lot of those fan wikis. The 40k one is getting more cluttered as well. Or it was for a while. It's kind of gone back a bit now. It's better now. But anyway, that's relevant.
Big fire and affiliates.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do all that stuff on the support E14 on the support E14
Don't mind me,
page.
I'm just thinking of Captain Scarlet.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, and everything we do is on emotionally14.com. Everything I do that's not emotionally14 is on talkstars.co.uk. Yeah, thanks for listening, and Bibbidi Bop Games.
Bom 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 bom.